Hello, welcome again to FAIRtax Power Radio. I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Bob Scarborough.
And we are the FAIRtax
FAIRtax
Guys. And
yes, indeed you do.
right out of the box. Happy New Year, my friend.
Hey, Happy New Year to you too. Thanks. And everybody out there watching or listening, we appreciate your support here at FAIRtax Power Radio. And let's go hit it out of the park this year for the FAIRtax.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, we've got some measurables that we could look at to see how much progress we are making in getting the FAIRtax enacted, and three numbers that every FAIRtax volunteer all around the country, no matter where you are, should want to help push up. And we're talking about the number of co-sponsors in Congress. We're talking about the number of candidates for the 2022 election cycle who have signed the FAIRtax Candidate Pledge, promising to co-sponsor if they're elected and vote for it if it comes up. And probably the most important number of all is the number of vendors, the health of the FAIRtax Marketplace, which is still in its infancy. And we'll get to that a bit as we go along. But what we want to do here on FAIRtax Power Radio right at the beginning of 2022 is kind of take a snapshot, look at what we've got in all three of these areas, so that as the year progresses, we can look back and say, all right, well, we've made progress here. We've made progress. Not so much here. We need to get to work on that one. But let's just get right to it. The number of co-sponsors that we have in the current Congress as of the time we're recording this is 27, which sounds like a relatively good number until you realize that there are 435 members of Congress. So of 27, we've got quite a few to go before we can get the kind of support we need for the FAIRtax in Congress. But I've broken this down by state. And Alabama, it's not surprising because that's one of the states that is looking at as active legislation currently before their state house now to replace their state income tax with a consumption tax modeled on the FAIRtax. They call it the Alabama Economic Freedom Act. But there are three Congress critters, if you will, from Alabama co-sponsoring the FAIRtax. That's Barry Moore in District 2, Mo Brooks in District 5, and Gary Palmer in District 6. So if you're in Alabama, you need to work on the rest of the guys and gals out there too to get on board with HR 25 and co-sponsor the FAIRtax.
Don Young from Alaska, an at-large member of Congress there, is a co-sponsor of the FAIRtax. Thank you, Don. We appreciate it. And we will be wanting to speak with you at some point in time about moving the needle there in Congress.
Well, if he's in Alaska, we maybe can tempt him to come down to Florida for CPAC, and we can talk to him there. Because I've got a friend that lives in Alaska. I've added her little hometown up there in Alaska to my weather app, so I look at it, and it's 60, 68, 69 degrees here, and it's 3 below there where she is. Man, that's too colder.
It feels colder with the wind blowing too.
It does. Well, I am pleased to say that of all of the states, if you're going by the number of co-sponsors of the FAIRtax, Florida wins the co-sponsor derby. We have got 7 co-sponsors in the state of Florida. Matt Gates, Florida 1, Kat Kamek, District 3, John Rutherford, District 4, Michael Waltz, District 6, Bill Posey, District 8, Gus Bilirakis in Florida District 12, and Byron Donalds in Florida 19 are all FAIRtax co-sponsors from the great state of Florida.
Isn't that awesome? That's great. And
I love it.
Florida is a reflection of the process of how others in the other states across the union can move forward in calling their representatives and encouraging others in your neighborhood or across the state where you live to call their representative and find out what their feeling is about the FAIRtax. And with enough people calling, maybe 10 or 15 or 20 people call one representative, and then all of a sudden the staff is going to say, hey, Representative Hofnagel, you're going to need to check this out. We need to think about what this FAIRtax is. It doesn't take much. Doesn't take much to move things forward like that, but we have to be persistent and dedicated to it. And the folks in Florida certainly are. And I'll say this for everyone that's out there viewing or listening right now, you have an opportunity to be a little active this year coming up. But we have a really big election cycle, midterms, that's coming into the forefront of people's activities. Make sure you get one of these from the store the FAIRtax store and go and get engaged. It doesn't take a lot, and only your ability to help will move things forward in your area. So hopefully you'll have an opportunity to do that, like folks have done in Florida.
Yeah,
of course, it's warmer in Florida, and that makes it easier for people to get out.
Yes, I've seen firsthand some of the effort that went into getting some of these representatives onto the bill. And one of the things that works really well is you go to your representatives. Well, your colleague, thus, and this is on the bill. Why aren't you?
Right.
So that works pretty well. Moving on. The next state is actually the FAIRtax's home state, if you can call it that.
That's right. Andrew Clyde in Georgia, District 9, Jody Heiss in District 10, and Barry Loudermilk in Georgia 11 have co-sponsored the FAIRtax.
Yeah, we should point out that those are co-sponsors. The actual primary sponsor of the bill itself is from Georgia, Buddy Carter. If I'm not mistaken, he's in District 1. So we've got Florida still has Georgia beat in the number of sponsors we have on the FAIRtax, but we need to get as many of folks working in Georgia, because again, that's one of the other states where, did you see the other day, Newt Gingrich came out in favor of Georgia getting rid of its state income tax. And then he launched into and we need a flat tax at the national level. Newt, you need to connect the dots here.
You drive over to his office and knock on the door and say, what's up with that? So
if getting rid of the state income taxes.
Steve Forbes is all about the flat tax.
Yeah, well,
Years ago, I had to send him a letter, and I said, "Do you not know the difference between and why are we still monkeying around with the Internal Revenue Service and the code? And it's just going to, you're going to tamp it down, but that flat tax is going to go right back up. When people aren't watching, and so the FAIRtax is a tax on consumption."
Yeah, that's an episode for another day, but a flat tax is still a tax on income, and it's not going to stay flat for long. But let's go ahead and get on through this list of co-sponsors that are currently on the bill in the 117th Congress. Jim Banks, Indiana District 3 is on there. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thomas Massey from Kentucky, District 4. Thank you.
Tim Wahlberg, District 7 in the state of Michigan.
Tom Emmer, Minnesota District 6. Thank you for your support of the FAIRtax.
Yeah, and you can do the next one too, because that's your home state.
Okay. All right. Virginia Fox, North Carolina 5. She was my representative until redistricting last go round. And my representative now lives in Hickory, North Carolina. And that's Patrick McHenry. And his district is, if you can imagine where Hickory is, I'm in Surrey County, and so it's quite a trek. It's quite a large area. Yeah. So we'll be working with Representative Patrick McHenry to get him on board. Virginia Fox, thank you for and she's been at it for a long time. She's been a supporter of the FAIRtax for quite a while.
Okay. And thanks to Steve Chabot in District 1 in Ohio, Warren Davidson, Ohio District 8. Those are the two from Ohio that are on it.
Oklahoma, Mark Wayne Mullen in District 2 and Frank Lucas in Oklahoma District 3. Thank you all for your support.
Hey, you're right. Jeff Duncan, we mentioned this last week that he was on some of the FAIRtax Hall of Shame things, but he is a co-sponsor of the FAIRtax from South Carolina District 3, Jeff Duncan.
I'm getting ready to circle his name right here.
Okay.
Jeff, if you all know Jeff down there, we're going to give him a call too to find out what's up with using the tax code to bring bills to the committees and to introduce them. Why does it have to start in the tax code? All right, Scott and I wrote all over his name, Desjardins. Scott, I messed it up when I was practicing. So
I think that's right.
Scott Desjardins, Tennessee, number 4, and Tennessee is about to close the door on income tax in their state.
Well, they've not had an income tax in their state either. And so it surprises me that there are not more FAIRtax advocates in Tennessee. John Carter, Texas 31, and it's a surprise that he's the only one from the state of Texas that is on there, because we've got a lot of support for the FAIRtax in Texas, and we'll get to that in our next little segment here where we talk about candidate pledge signers. But we need some more folks in Texas to get on the bill as well. And one more. And
rounding out our co-sponsor list, the snapshot of the 27 co-sponsors is Robert Whitman from Virginia District 1. Thank you, Representative Whitman. We appreciate the support and look forward to you invigorating the FAIRtax in your discussions in the halls of Congress.
Absolutely. So our thanks to all 27 co-sponsors. We'll be looking back as the year progresses and see how far up we can push that number. Let's move on to our second little category we're going to be looking at, and that is candidate pledge signers. We're actually recording this a couple of days before the first of the year. And the way John Gaver's been going, it would not surprise me if by the actual first of the year, by the time this episode airs, we've got at least one more other than the 12 we've got right at this moment.
Right.
We'll kick that off again going by state. Alex Stovall, Arizona District 9 is on the FAIRtax Candidate Pledge.
And Willie Montague from Florida District 10 and Reuben Young from Florida 23 have signed the FAIRtax Pledge. Thank you, gentlemen. And keep talking about the FAIRtax on the campaign trail.
I'll say a quick backstory on Reuben Young. When we met him at CPAC last year, he did not know about the FAIRtax at all. But we gave him the short, synopsis of how it works. He came out to the candidate forum in Las Vegas we had this past spring. And when he really got to get his head wrapped around it, Reuben Young came on board with the FAIRtax. So again, back to CPAC. It's important that we get a lot of FAIRtax people down there. Now, you're probably going to have a hard time getting to talk to someone like Ted Cruz or Marsha Blackburn, the real high profile folks. But there are plenty of Reuben Youngs walking around there that you can get to and get them on board with the FAIRtax. And we've already done it.
Absolutely.
So
we're shooting for 500
Yep.
people at CPAC this year. And you and your area, you may know of a larger gathering, maybe some state function that's going on that we can help from a standpoint of advice or some ideas in helping you get in front of the candidates that are running this year. We'd be glad to help out with that. All you have to do is get in touch with us.
Okay, and back to the list of candidate pledge signers for 2022 is a fellow you talked to not long ago, Mike Saliba from Michigan.
Yes, and Mike was talking about selling something on the FAIRtax Marketplace, which we'll get into here in just a little bit. But Mike is a working guy. He's up there in just north of Detroit, and these people that are running, the candidates that are in for the midterms this year are working people. And I've noticed this trend in the folks that I've talked to, at least, that they are so consumed with the challenges that they face in their lives that they had to put their hat in the ring to be able to help affect change, even if it's just in a dialogue in the campaigns that are coming up. But I was real impressed with Mike and several others that are on the list, the ones that I've talked to, as far as their commitment is concerned.
And that's true of the next guy, somebody you also talked to recently.
Right. He's right over in District 7, just across the highway from us here in Winston, over in Greensboro. Thomas Watercott is a candidate running for District 7, and he signed the candidate's pledge not too long ago. All
right. And the next guy on the list is probably the most energetic FAIRtax candidate I have ever met, Alan Waters in Rhode Island. Again, I've told you the story. We were walking around CPAC last year. Ron and I were walking through the vendor/exhibition area and heard this voice, "Hey, FAIRtax guys," calling out from behind us. And it was Alan Waters. So he is very, very well versed in the FAIRtax. I mean, really an outgoing, bubbly personality on the guy. So he would make an excellent, FAIRtax representative.
And now on to the John Gaver portion of our candidate pledge signers in Texas. Now, if you are out there and listening to our show, watching our show today, be like John Gaver. Find out who's running in your area. Go out there with the candidate's pledge form. You can print a bunch of copies off of the website and all that, and go out and meet these folks. They're very approachable because guess what? They want your vote. So they will stop and talk to you, and you can say, "Hey, look, I'm interested in your positions on different things, and I'm interested in your position on the FAIRtax."
Yeah, Gaver
has done that.
I think Gaver kind of lucked out because redistricting down there has let him talk to candidates in 2 different districts.
Right. That's exactly right. And the 4 that he has signed up so far, Jameson Ellis in Texas 2, Martin Etwop, who I interviewed not too long ago in Texas 2, and 2 in District 8, Dan McCaughan and Jonathan Mitchell, who I interviewed. And again, I'll underscore a lot of working class people, a lot of folks that have day jobs and they're working from sun up to sundown, and they're also throwing their hat in the ring to run for their district as a representative in the United States Congress.
Yeah.
And that says a lot about their commitment, because they're doing their work and they're getting paid to get the paycheck. But at the same time, it's important that they, in their minds and in ours too, that they are putting their foot forward and running for office, for public office.
Yeah,
it's not an easy thing to do, and so we applaud everyone that's running.
Of all of the names on this list, of all the names on the list here, I would think Martin Etwop probably has the most compelling story.
Yes,
you talked to him a couple of, in fact, your interview with him went so long we couldn't use it all on the FAIRtax Power Radio. It's up in its entirety on our FAIRtax Guys YouTube channel. But
phenomenal story, phenomenal.
Yeah, go check that out.
From Uganda, and you talk to people that that didn't grow up in the greatest country in the world, and so he's that guy. And if you hear his story, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of other stories just like his, of folks that really, truly appreciate and love liberty and love this country, because where they came from, there's nothing like what we have here. And we seem to lose sight of that sometimes. But Martin Etwop, go to the YouTube channel, the FAIRtax Guys, and you'll see that interview.
Yep, and we're going to be getting back to interviewing people next week on FAIRtax Power Radio. I've got this interview already recorded with Jameson Ellis, and he's quite a character as well. So again, Jameson Ellis, Martin Etwop, Dan McCaughan, Jonathan Mitchell is all brought to the table by John Gaver, and we would encourage as many people to do what John has done. Just take it upon yourself, make it a personal project to talk to as many candidates as possible and get as many of them as they can to sign the pledge. Get little, shoot a video, 5 or 6 minutes video, send still pictures as well. We'll use them here on FAIRtax Power Radio. We got to move along here on our candidate pledge signer list all the way across the country to the great state of Washington, and mention Jared Sessler, who is running in Washington District 4. I talked to him, and he used to run NASCAR. Not the National Touring Series. He ran some of the regional
Friday or Saturday night racer.
Ran the regional series up there. I thought that was interesting. But Jared Sessler, he was another one that we met at the candidate forum. Did not know much about the FAIRtax at all when he got there. We gave him a copy of the FAIRtax book to read on the flight home, and by the time he got home, he says, "I'm signing the pledge." He signed the pledge before he left Las Vegas, but he was just totally on board with it by the time he read the book. And that's Jared Sessler in Washington.
And this underscores the importance of getting in touch with the folks that are candidates right now and getting them to commit by signing the pledge. Once the candidate roster is full of folks that are behind and understand the FAIRtax, the better it's going to be to get people elected going forward. And this year is a super important year. Yep. Now, the last person that we're going to mention today as a candidate pledge signer was the first person to sign the pledge. Is that right? Yes,
she was the first person in the entire country. And as far as I know, nobody really solicited her signature on the pledge. She researched it herself. There was a constituent out there in Wyoming that got her turned on to the FAIRtax, and nice. she did some research on her own and says, "I'm signing the pledge." And that was, of course, Marissa Selvig
from Wyoming, an at-large seat there in Wyoming. Thank you all of our candidate pledge signers. Boy, it's just, and it grows by leaps and bounds. We'll go back to Texas. Be John Gaver.
Yes.
Wherever you are, print out, go to the FAIRtax Marketplace, buy some ink, print out a bunch of the FAIRtax candidate pledges, and put it in a little, your little manila folder, and go out and put it in the passenger seat of your car and go to some of these meetings that you'll be able to go to here in the election cycle, and get everybody to sign it.
So hopefully as we look back, as 2022 progresses, we look back, we can see a much greater number than 12 on the candidate pledge signing. And it should be noted that, anyway, I am on the board of the Florida FAIRtax Group, a 501c3. So I'm trying to be really careful and make it known we're not endorsing anyone here. We are just educating folks to the fact of who has signed and who hasn't. And of course, it's up to you to decide who you want to vote for based on whatever, factors you want to consider. But we are letting the folks who have signed the campaign pledge, at least be mentioned here on FAIRtax Power Radio. And you can take that. You can take that into consideration for what it's worth. We got to move on. We got about 7.5 minutes left in this episode. And I tell you, if there is ever an idea that could be a game changer in the FAIRtax movement, it's the FAIRtax Marketplace. They've got to give Mike Simmons credit for coming up with this idea.
Thank you, Mike.
A lot of people buy online, and if you can buy online something you're going to buy anyway, and you can buy it from a business that supports the FAIRtax and will make a contribution, I think it's about 10% of each sale is contributed to the FAIRtax movement, to Americans for Fair Taxation. So we need to get this FAIRtax Marketplace populated with as many vendors selling as many different products and services as possible. And we're actually really starting from ground zero. This idea is only just a few months old. And as of we speak, there are 3 things you can buy on the FAIRtax Marketplace. 2 of them are professional services that Mike himself offers. He's a web designer and a very good one, and he's into video production as well. So if you need any kind of those services, you can engage Mike Simmons through the FAIRtax Marketplace. And there's a company out there called Comp'nSave that sells printer ink cartridges, something everybody needs. But
all the time.
Yeah, but we need to. As I say, we need to get the marketplace built up so that no matter what you need, one of the first places you're going to look for it is out there on the marketplace, so you can support the FAIRtax when you're buying stuff that you're going to buy anyway.
That's right. And I would like to invite everybody who's watching or viewing to consider going ahead and signing up as a customer on the FAIRtax Marketplace at FAIRtaxMarketplace.com. And once you do that, obviously you'll be able to buy printer ink and get some other things done, but a larger group of customers will attract a larger group of vendors.
Yeah, it's kind of which comes first, the chicken or the egg. You got to have a lot of stuff there before you shop. And then the vendors have got to say, well, we got to have customers before it's worth going there. So we'll build both of those up. And you can, even without registering for an account there on FAIRmarketplace.com, you can still go out there and make a suggestion as to what types of products and services you would like to see on the marketplace. And the marketplace team will take that to the vendors and say, hey, look, we've got customers for this particular product or service. If you'll sign up with the marketplace, I can connect you with people that are ready to do business with you right here and right now. And of course, the Americans for Fair Taxation also has a really large, I think it's about 300,000 names in a database out there. And when a vendor signs up on the marketplace, a email blast saying, hey, this product is now available, goes out to that many people. Excuse me.
Right,
I got a little tickle in my throat.
That's the whole thing. We need to find a cough drop or something that we can sell on the FAIRtax Marketplace.
Yeah, I could use one. I got a little tickle right here. We got to get rid of.
So think about it, folks. You may have a product, or you may know someone that does. You can create something. Just think about what is available, a craft or something that would be, and it's got to be a way to put this whole FAIRtaxMarketplace.com concept into the path of all the traffic that's on the major places like eBay or the Walmarts or the Amazons. And so that's something that I think if somebody's out there that can think about how we could do that, but go ahead and sign up as a customer and let's start building up the customer base on the FAIRtax Marketplace. And then we'll work and think about how to populate the products that are on there. Yes,
I'm married.
It's a great opportunity for everybody.
I'm married to a wonderful lady. She brought me some water.
Very nice. That's wonderful. God bless Mrs. Bob Paxton.
Thank you, dear.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it should be noted real quick, though, that if you're a vendor wanting to get onto the marketplace, there is no charge for signing up. The only time that a vendor will pay anything is when they make a sale through the marketplace. And the marketplace itself is going to be kind of like going to the mall. You walk through there, and then there are all these different individual vendors within that spot. So when you see all of the vendors listed on the marketplace, you click on one. And that's, I guess Mike calls that a click through. That's some kind of technical term. But when you click through to a vendor's actual website and buy something from the marketplace, then that vendor knows that its sale came through the marketplace and will make the appropriate contribution to the FAIRtax.
Very nice. That's great. It's a great idea. And Mike is what a great opportunity he's given the entire organization. Thank you so much. And at the beginning of the year here too, it's going to be an exciting year all around. I think, hey, I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm excited.
Absolutely. Well, we've noted that all FAIRtax volunteers, from Chairman Steve Hayes on down to anybody at the local level, we're all volunteers. But there is still a good bit of, funding that the movement needs in order to keep doing what it's going to do. And when we can get a steady source of funding through the marketplace, then we can do so much more. We may be able to buy some media stuff. We can do some more research. We can target particular districts who need to hear the FAIRtax message. There's just so much that we can do if we had the funds to do it with. And the marketplace is a really great way that everybody who supports the FAIRtax can help contribute to the cause.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And you can go to the marketplace today and buy printer ink and use that to print out a bunch of candidate pledges and take them around to folks that are running in your district and around, and let people know, hey, guess what? I use the FAIRtax Marketplace to get this printer ink. And it's look how great this 4-color pledge looks. Please sign it and contribute to the betterment of society in general here in the greatest union of the entire world, the United States of America. And the FAIRtax is a game changer all the way around.
Yeah, we'll have to get some FAIRtax Marketplace banners and carry them down to CPAC and walk around and
pass out that.
When the media people take live shots, you can do the scrolling banner, and somebody else can hold up a sign that says FAIRtax Marketplace. Again, we'd like as many people as possible to join us at CPAC in February 24th through 27th in Orlando, Florida. You'll have to make your own reservations and get your own ticket. We unfortunately don't have the funding to sponsor everybody to come, but we'd love to see you there at CPAC. And that is going to wrap up this edition of FAIRtax Power Radio, first one for 2022. Happy New Year to you again one more time. And I'll say that we are the FAIRtax Guys. I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Bob Scarborough.
Reminding you that the FAIRtax is the only truly fair tax, and once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
The FAIRtax does not hurt the poor and does not reward the rich, because it's not a straight sales tax like the sales tax we already have. The FAIRtax creates a level playing field by taxing everyone at the same rate at the cash register, but untaxes the household up to poverty level. This means that those living closer to the poverty level pay a lower overall tax rate, while those living a lavish lifestyle pay a higher overall tax rate. Yet the law still applies to everyone equally. This is called the prebate, which reimburses every legal American household the taxes they will have to pay on the basic necessities each month. As those basic necessities vary by household, the FAIRtax untaxes you and not the purchases. This keeps tax lobbyists out of the picture and keeps you in control of what you pay. Do you think the prebate will be too expensive and act just like a huge welfare program? The prebate will cost less than half of what the current deductions and exemptions cost, and operates just like the standard deduction you already take. It's your money. You're just getting it back each month rather than once a year. Everyone under the FAIRtax controls their own tax rate by deciding when and how much money they spend above poverty level, and thus how much they pay in taxes. To learn more, please visit fairtax.org. And be sure to like us on social media to help educate your friends and spread the word.